Jr., and that means it is Thursday, and it is the best day of the week. Welcome back to Hear My Take, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Yeah, it's Thursday, and I'm excited to be here. Listen, we got a whole lot of stuff to get into. All right, if this is your first time here, I'm glad to have you here. Make sure you do me a favor. Like, subscribe, hit the thumbs up button right here on this channel so that we can make sure that the algorithm is warmed up, right? And we can do a dance together. And you'll know exactly when I am live and on this show, all right? It's still Black History Month, so happy Black History Month to you. I am so grateful that you are here. Follow the show at HearMyTake_. That's on all social media assets, and of course, right here on YouTube as well. If you don't know what we do on this show, well, this is the time that I let you know. I want you to just hear my perspective, what I'm going to be opining on, right? The things that tickle my fancy, the things that cook my grits, whatever I want to talk about, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Most importantly, we're going to have fun, and we are going to be informed because information is key, and so is knowledge, all right? So, I want our connection to be nice and easy, so I want you to get into those comments. I want to hear your take, too. I want to know what you think about this stuff we're talking about and the things that are going on around the world that are ultimately affecting all of us, all right? So, if you have any topic ideas, okay, if you have any guests that you might want to see on the show, send me an email, hearmytake@gmail.com. That'll be the best way to get in touch with me so that we can give you what it is that you need, all right? I think that's all the housekeeping that we got for today. I think we need to get ready to jump into the show because I have a whole lot of stuff to talk about. So if you are ready and I am ready, it is time for highlights and headlines. Not sure if you are familiar with what is going on with UPS and Nick Shirley. Now, I don't know if Nick Shirley's name rings a bell to you, but Nick Shirley is the young conservative YouTuber who reported the claims of fraud at child care centers in the Somali community in Minnesota, which of course ultimately led to the surge of the heightened environment there as well, which resulted in the unfortunate passing of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. Well, Nick Shirley, back in the news, this time he's shifting his focus and he's claiming voter fraud in California. Well, and this is how he's doing this, right? He's specifically stating that there are too many people registered to vote at a particular address, okay? Well, the address in question is that of a UPS store, okay? And so this UPS store happens to be on the ground level of a mixed-use building that typically combines residential and commercial uses. Like, we know what that is. We've seen those things. That is all the rave in real estate, right? The mixed-use, work, live, play spaces, all of those things. YouTube is on the bottom floor. Apartments, units, and all those things are on the upper levels, right? That's not a big deal. That's nothing that we're not familiar with. Well, he's claiming that it can't be possible that people are living at this address, and he's saying that they are conveniently leaving out. Well, I'm claiming rather, okay, that he's claiming that the citizens can't possibly be all living at this address. But on his YouTube and all of the things that he talks about, he's conveniently leaving out the fact that the apartments are occupied on the upper level. So say, for instance, the address is 123 Main Street, okay? Unit B, okay? That might be someone's address, but the UPS store is 123 Main Street, ground level. He's saying all of these people here are registered at this address. There's voter fraud going on. There's something fishy going on. And that is just complete BS and total, it's bogus to me. Because what I can't seem to understand is for people who lean into that type of gotcha or seemingly what they're considering gotcha moments, they're not doing any research. Like, this is not hard to debunk, right? I mean, all you got to do is do a quick Google search to verify the validity of these particular claims. The next 2 or 3 questions is typically what you ask when somebody tries to purport something like this. Oh, there's voter fraud here. Okay, well, what's the address? Okay, well, let's look up the address. Okay, well, the address here says this. And it also speaks to there are 20 other mailboxes that are also here as well. So I'm bringing Nick Shirley up in the news because these, I don't even know if you want to call it a witch hunt or if it's, I don't know, but how they, listen, I don't want to say this is just something that conservatives do, but I do think that it is something that people do that are trying to be salacious, right? And they leave out necessary information, but they use a particular part, right, of this information as a headline or clickbait. So if you're hearing anything about this and the voter fraud that's in California or what they're claiming to be voter fraud in California, listen, I'm not saying that there aren't instances where people have discovered where there's been some inconsistencies as it relates to voting, because we all know not that there's widespread fraud, but there's a blip here and a blip there. But this particular instance is not what Nick Shirley is claiming to be. And that has been his claim to fame. So I brought that up because if you're hearing any buzz about this, just pay attention to what people are doing. Also to try to gain, popularity, because the White House ran with his story about the Somali community with the child care and all of the fraud. And then that's how we got what we got in Minnesota. So just be really careful of the things that you're paying attention to and what they're trying to highlight as truth, because oftentimes it could be debunked. Now, FedEx, speaking of their competitor, is asking for a full refund. And they're asking for a refund of the monies paid from the tariffs that Trump has imposed. And I am not mad at this, okay? Now that we know that the Supreme Court has ruled that these tariffs are illegal, FedEx is like, baby, run me my money, okay? Now, all of that is fair, okay? But the problem is, okay, the money that these large corporations, okay, have passed on to us consumers, okay, is money that we've already paid up front, okay? The ruling from the Supreme Court that indicated that these tariffs are illegal, they're part of the result of the court case is saying that there should be some sort of restitution for the money, refund ultimately. Herein lies the problem. Customers won't get the money back. The corporations will get the money back. Here's the second part of that problem. The corporations never paid the tariffs on the onset. They passed the fees on to us. So not only did they not pay on the onset, they're going to be able to reap the benefit and get the refund if this fully goes through and the ruling is that they have to somehow find a way to pay this tariff money back. Money goes back to the corporations. So listen, I'm not mad at wanting to fight for the money because it was illegal from the start. Costco is also another company who's filed a suit due to the illegal tariffs imposed by this administration. So I get it. But in essence, these large companies didn't pay the tariffs at the beginning. And so I don't know how well this tracks, because it seems to me that the American people are getting raked over the coals by simply being consumers and going about living our daily lives and having to be hit. Not only have we been hit, but then we also don't reap the benefit. So I'm going to make sure that we kind of stay on top of this. If you're hearing about this in the news, lean in to kind of see where the Supreme Court is going with that particular case, because baby, somebody gonna have to pay somebody back. And now look, because here's the other part about it. I think it will be tremendously difficult to pay back us consumers. Now, maybe there's some sort of class action lawsuit, and anybody that, had any transactions with either of these, or some of the corporate companies between date A and date B, those people will be able to get a cut of the class action lawsuit. That's typically how they do when corporations kind of are found to have done something unethical or, that wasn't above board. So we'll see. We'll stay connected to that story and kind of see where things go. Now, let me preface what I'm about to say next, okay? Because I want you to hear me. I want you to hear me and hear me well. Okay, shout out to Miss Tabitha Brown. I am not a fan of the next person I'm about to mention, okay? But I am very intrigued by said person. She's been extremely controversial. And yet lately, she's also been very, very effective, okay? And that person is Candace Owens. Now, wait. I already know. Candace Owens has a lot, in my opinion, of explaining to do as it relates to Black people, because for many years, I felt like she was a turncoat, okay? And to me, she was also to blame for a lot of the things that caused Donald Trump to rise with more political cachet than I thought he was ever warranted to have received. Okay. And while I'm still very skeptical and I got my good eye on her, okay, lately she's been in her investigative bag. And she's been in her investigative bag as it relates to the conspiracy surrounding Charlie and Erika Kirk. Okay. Now stay with me, because I had to stay with me too, okay? So, Candace Owens has just released a new trailer on her show for a series that has explosive claims about Erika Kirk. And she's calling it The Bride of Kirk. I want you to take a listen to what this trailer sounds like.
Says that Kirk has died after he was shot from a nearby building.
After being shot at Utah Valley University.
The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead.
The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry.
I didn't even get to give him a kiss goodbye.
That young man, I forgive him.
Take your time.
Erika Kirk has been named the new CEO of Turning Point USA.
My husband's dead. Like, I'm not trying to be morbid, but he's dead.
It's weird to say excited.
Describes her husband's funeral as the event of the century. Merch, hats.
We have 50,000 plus hat orders.
Nobody knows why she's out there in a glittering pantsuit in a recreated tent that her husband tragically was murdered in, throwing merch out.
Everyone grieves differently, so if someone's acting weird, don't read into that.
Zionists, the Prime Minister of Israel, all lied through their teeth about Charlie Kirk.
Her operation was in Constanta, the epicenter of Romania's trafficking scandal.
We are conversations to have with a 15-year-old. I'm gonna touch your butt.
$8.6 million to their own shell company.
What is going on?
We have nothing to hide. My aunt used to tell me, never do something that you don't want on the front page of a newspaper.
Baby! Child. Now look. Now listen, everybody stay calm, okay? Stay calm. Again, I am not endorsing Candace Owens, okay? Because she has a lot of explaining to do, okay? But what I am saying is I'm going to pose this question to you. If you have been following, any of the trails, right, about some of the people and the involvement of Erika Kirk, would you say that you have been curious about Erika Kirk's behavior since Charlie died and how performative it is? I mean, does it seem contrived to you? Does it seem weird to you? I'm not saying it is weird. I'm just asking you to decide if it feels weird to you. I mean, based on that trailer, I mean, I'm gonna tell you what I have been doing. So this series that Candace Owens is doing, it just started, okay? And I think she might just be 1 or 2 episodes into it. But let me tell you something about what Candace Owens is doing. Candace Owens is going max. Let me tell you, I am very curious about a lot of stuff. So I watched it because I wanted to see what was going on. Candace Owens went max. Candace Owens is digging so deep into Erika Kirk's past. I'm talking about she's bringing up where she was born. She's bringing up dates, birthdays, inconsistencies on certain dates. She's bringing up her grandparents, her parents, her father, the hospital she was born in, literally everything. Candace Owens is digging deep because, okay, we all know how Candace feels about all of this stuff since Charlie died, and probably prior to, because her and Charlie, they weren't on speaking terms at his passing, right? But I believe what Candace is doing is, with all of this investigative research and journalism, she is trying to establish credibility out of Erika. So she initially said that this series was going to be like a 3-episode series, but once she released this trailer, she's been getting all types of backlash. I mean, a lot of the people on her team have been getting, doxxed and all of those things, and that ticks that girl off. She doesn't really get into, bullies. I mean, even though some people might call her a bully, but she doesn't really get into that kind of, which is kind of interesting because it's like, now girl, you going, 100 on other people. Don't be mad when people are doing it to you. But what it did do is it triggered her enough to say, all right, you know what? All bets are off. If you're going to play with me, I'm going to play with you. So she didn't say how long this series is going to be, but let me tell you what it is. It is so detailed. It almost to the point where if you're not really clued in, it might get a little bit boring if you're not the kind of person that can kind of keep your attention into, really granular stuff. But honey, that Candace Owens is a hound dog. Do you hear me? And again, I am not a fan. Okay. But Candace's position is, everybody's, making Erika out to be this, docile, grieving widow, and Candace is saying, well, if she's, and that she, just let her grieve, and that, why are people making this such, such a big deal out of Erika Kirk, leave her alone. And Candace is saying, well, if there's nothing to see here, then this should be nothing to see. But baby, Candace Owens is going to find something to see. So all I'm telling you is I am going to watch because I am very curious and I would like to see what comes up, because the Tyler Robinson, how he was picked up, the weapon, fingerprints on the weapon, whose weapon was it? I mean, I believe there is something going on. And to be quite honest with you, it feels a little sinister. So I'm going to be watching. Not that I agree with Candace Owens, but I am going to be watching this because something just doesn't feel right about it. Speaking of stuff that doesn't feel right, the State of the Union did not feel right to me the other night, okay? Oh, gracious alive. The State of the Union just did not feel right to me. It felt like a big commercial, which is, on par with Donald Trump. It felt disjointed to me. It lacked a lot of, policy details that, in my opinion, I was looking for. If you're going to talk about the State of the Union, sir, you've been in office for, a whole year now. Can we get some direction on what's going on? But I mean, this is who Donald Trump is. In my opinion, he is directionless. But here's some interesting statistics that have come up since it aired. And since he likes to talk so much, he actually broke a record of having the longest State of the Union address in Earth's history, okay? Nobody has had a longer State of the Union except him. He actually broke the record from his previous record, which was the longest one. So he set the record and then broke the record that he set. Y'all, this is ridiculous. That State of the Union address was 1 hour and 48 minutes. And it has been longest since his prior speech in 60 years. Baby, what are you talking about? It's a whole bunch of that Charlie Brown teacher. Wah, 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 wah. Yes, ma'am. Wah, 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 wah. No, ma'am. Nielsen reports that 12% fewer people watched this particular address this year. With the decrease, it had been experienced across all 7 of the major networks: ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSN Now, NBC, Fox News, and Fox Broadcast. 12% decrease across all of the 7 major networks. Okay. And it was just rambling, you know, and here, listen, there are some things that are status quo when it comes to State of the Union addresses, right? Many presidents bring certain guests to highlight, you know, history makers, dignitaries, and all of those things. But this felt like a dog and pony show to me, with a lot of pomp and circumstance. I mean, it felt like a lot of Oprah Winfrey, you get a medal, you get a medal, you get a medal, but it just lacked substance. You know, I mean, one of the things that he did not talk about is the effects of the tariffs and the Supreme Court justice ruling. Now, he said it was a shame, but that was it. Now, is it a shame because of the way that they ruled against you, or is it a shame toward the American people and the policy that you put in place that has been damaging to said constituents, which is us? I mean, where's the shame lie here? He also talked about, or not necessarily just talked about, but he was grossly disrespectful to immigrants last night, or whenever, maybe it was last night, 2 nights ago. Specifically the Somalians, right? Of course, other, you know, marginalized groups, but specifically the Somalians as of late. And here's the thing that, you know, bugs the crap out of me, is that all of us are immigrants in some way. Yes, I was born here. Yes, my parents were born here, but somebody down my line was not. We were brought here. And so the way that he speaks about immigrants is what blows me away. And let me just provide a point of information, okay? Can we talk, y'all? Like, can we talk? Okay. How come we never hear about the immigrants and his family? Okay. The way he talks about the legal status of immigrants that are here and the processes that they went through or are still in order to gain legal immigration. Okay. So let's talk. His wife and his mother, neither of the two were born here in the United States, okay? But I just find it really interesting that nobody ever brings up the breach of their pathway to citizenship that they're making so paramount that other people need to follow. So case in point, his mother, okay, Scottish immigrant, okay? It took her 12 years to become a citizen of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, she arrived here in 1930. She didn't become a citizen until 1942. Sir, are you mad at that, or is that okay? I mean, can we really talk? Let's just talk about wife too. Uno, dos, vice dos. Took her 10 years. Miss Melania got here in 1996. She didn't become a citizen until 2006. A decade, okay? And not only did she not become a citizen for a decade, and she happens to be from Slovenia, she sponsored her parents using chain migration, which is a process that Donald Trump repeatedly criticizes. Hypocrisy much, sir? So wait a minute, let's level set, ladies and gents. You talk about immigrants and how you don't want immigrants coming and they dirty up our land and they're worthless and we don't want immigrants from here. But nobody ever talks about that wife. Nobody's ever talking about that mother. Listen, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I'm just talking about the facts and the positioning statement as it relates to immigrants. When this country was born and developed and became the society that we are because of immigrants. So I just never understand why when people have so much vibrato to talk about immigrants and coming over here the right way and even when they do, they seem to be punished. But nobody talks about them, that mother and that wife and that chain migration that he despises so much. Okay. So I'm on my soapbox. I was supposed to be talking about the State of the Union, but that just burns me up, right? Because the way how disrespectful he is as it relates to people, entering this country and their contributions to this country, mind you. And so that cooks my grits, baby. And I told you in the beginning, things that cook my grits, this really cooks my grits. And so the other thing that happened that night, he was there and he congratulated the U.S. men's hockey team for winning against Canada. That was fantastic. We want to celebrate our men and women who go and represent the U.S. globally and do a really great job. So congratulations to the U.S. men and women, both men and women. But in particular, though, he highlighted the men's goalie that night. Okay. Now, I listen, the goalie plays a very important role. I mean, he's blocking pucks. I got it. And apparently this particular block was one of the winning. Don't get me wrong, because I didn't watch the game. Let me be very clear. But for whatever reason, he wanted to highlight the goalie. Made me feel like the goalie must have performed very well. Okay, I'll leave it there. But the point I'm making is he gave this goalie a Presidential Medal of Freedom. Baby, I don't understand that. Listen, I'm not saying that athletes and entertainers and, very prolific people don't deserve the Presidential Medal of Freedom. But do we think that this one, and everybody didn't get it, just the goalie. I'm not saying that what he didn't do was great, but the Presidential Medal of Freedom, again, it felt like he was just handing medals out just to hand medals out, in my opinion, to avoid talking about a lot of the things that Americans are suffering through today. Now, let me just talk about a few of the things that I did appreciate. Still need to be vetted through, but I did appreciate hearing about the AI data centers that right now, it's up for debate on the usage of the electricity and water that they generate, and whether or not Americans are going to have to pay for that, or if these large corporations are going to have to absorb those costs. And so what it sounded like to me is that he was moving to ensure that the corporations would eat those costs. And if that's the case, then I'm okay with that, as it should be, because this is your stuff. Don't make me pay for your stuff, sir. Water and electricity, sirs and ma'ams of large corporations, come on. Making us pay through our electricity, raising our rates. I don't really like that. So when I heard that, my ears perked up. I could appreciate that. But what I also did not hear enough of was, us being a safer nation, right, and keeping us safe abroad. We've got a lot of stuff going on in this country right now that doesn't make a lot of Americans feel very safe. Neither does it make Americans feel safe when we are abroad. There's a lot of calamity going on in the world right now. A lot. I mean, and he loves to claim that he solved all these wars, but hello, Iran, Gaza, Mexico, and Ukraine. Those places are still very much in play, along with others. I didn't hear a lot of that conversation about what our position is and the safety that we should be experiencing when we travel outside of our borders. What I did like, see, back and forth, right? I did like hearing about the crackdown on insider trading. Now, let's hope that actually happens. I don't know, because both Democrats and Republicans sometimes are horse of a different color. Same horse, different color, but the same horse. But he did talk about passing legislation that will crack down on that. But here's what I don't know if I understand about that, all right? If he's wanting to crack down on insider trading, can we also crack down on some of what I deem are sneaking endeavors that he is getting involved in, like the Board of Peace? Are you familiar with the Board of Peace? Okay. Are you familiar with World Liberty Financial? Are you familiar with that? Okay. Well, the Board of Peace and both World Liberty Financial are companies that Donald Trump is heavily involved in. Okay. The World Liberty Financial is what his sons are operating currently right now. Okay. The Board of Peace is sort of akin to the UN, but it isn't. and the Board of Peace, he is making himself the lifetime chair of this particular organization. And if you're not familiar with it, look it up. Okay. A couple of countries and the way to be involved, like when you think about the UN and the countries that, are allying with one another, this is supposed to be similar to that. But these countries, I'm not really sure of the motive, right, of why they are aligning with this particular Board of Peace. Okay. He's over it. He is not trying to, but he will be having the Board of Peace receive $10 billion that he can do with whatever he wants to do with. There's no oversight. Nobody knows, a lot of the intricacies. And to be an allied country in the Board of Peace, you have to pay $1 billion. Does that feel a little nefarious to you? Because it does to me. There's no oversight. We don't know what's going on. And then a lot of the endeavors that he has with cryptocurrency, which is involving the World Liberty Financial. Again, there's no oversight on that. And listen, I'm not trying to say that the government needs to be involved in every little nook and cranny. But for some of these things and where this money is coming from and who and where this money is being funneled from, we need to be really, really, really curious about it, because we can be compromised because of that. Okay. There a lot of that can be problematic. So yes, I'm still talking about the State of the Union, but I'm just wanting to talk about the things that I didn't hear him talk enough about, right? So if you're not familiar with the Board of Peace, look it up. If you're not familiar with World Liberty Financial, look it up, because these are the sort of pseudo companies that, maybe the World Liberty is not a pseudo company that is government adjacent. Because that's supposed to be the company that him and his sons are totally involved in, or let me just say his sons rather are involved in. But you think his sons is involved in something that he don't have nothing to do with? Baby, that's a lie. But the UN, though, is supposed to be a pseudo governmental agency. So just look those things up. I don't want to confuse you too much, and I certainly hope that I haven't, but just remember those names: the Board of Peace and World Liberty Financial. Okay. It starts to feel like, when I think about a lot of these endeavors, and it really feels really fast, right? Where this administration is saying, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. Like, it feels like they're just throwing a lot of stuff at the wall, and they're trying to just kind of confuse us, so we don't really know which direction to look into, or to feel like we need to dig a little bit deeper. You know that part in the Pledge of Allegiance where it says, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all? It's starting to sound more like, to me, one nation under fraud, clearly visible, with bribery and corruption for all. That's what it sounds like to me. But I'll let you be the judge. Now, here's something that I want to put on your watch list, okay? I'm a TV girly. I like to watch television. I also like to watch documentaries, right? I want you to do a little bit of research on a new documentary. It's been Oscar nominated, okay? And it's called The Alabama Solution. It is a Critics' Choice winner, and has also been selected by Sundance, okay? And this particular documentary is an expose, and it is an expose on the rampant abuse in the Alabama prison system, okay? Now, I know most of us are somewhat aware of the harsh treatments and the environment that happen in prison, right? But most of us don't really know to the extent, right? Plus, if you haven't been to prison before, then how would you know, right? But here's what, we need to be really clear about, is that we really don't know a lot of the goings-ons that happens behind the walls. And oftentimes the media isn't really given a lot of access to gain more insight on that until now. I want you to take a listen to this. Check it out.
The slave labor that's going on inside. It doesn't matter if the job is dangerous. It doesn't matter if you're sick. You can be written a disciplinary for refusing to work and placed in solitary confinement. And it's not just prison jobs. A lot of prisoners are being leased out to corporations or to do state work.
I work in the Department of Sanitation every day in the communities, and I only get paid $2 a day. Downtown Montgomery, they have inmates working there. Even the governor mansion where KI been.
We're being told you're gonna work for us for free until you die. If they insist on running an unconstitutional prison, and they can run it in their cell.
So that again is called the Alabama solution. And, you know, Alabama alone extracts more than $450 million in unpaid labor from these inmates. And that is shown in this documentary. The LA Times is calling this a bombshell investigation. The New York Times says that this documentary will practically leave you speechless. And so the co-creator, Andrew Erika, was on with Jake Tapper. And this is a part of the conversation that he had with Jake Tapper. Take a listen.
Abuse by law enforcement in the U.S. happens every day and is covered up every day, regardless of all the officers and guards, et cetera, who do their jobs well and effectively.
Yeah, in the United States, prisons are often treated like black sites, and the public sort of drives by and sees a little sign on the side of the road that says XYZ Correctional Facility, and they think, well, you know, if anything really bad's happening back there, somebody would probably tell me about it. But the truth is the press is not really allowed inside, and so you don't find out what's happening inside these places where we're essentially, able to disappear people. And when you don't have that light, when you don't have journalists or filmmakers able to go in and see what's happening, very bad things happen. And we're seeing that, in the detention centers as well.
Sounds like modern day slavery to me, right? Now, listen, we all know that, the prison system is a form of slavery, of course. Now, and some critics will say, well, I mean, you do the crime, you got to do the time, and whatever comes with that, it's what you need. You got to do. That's your punishment. Everybody that's in prison is not guilty, okay? That's why it's innocent until proven guilty. Let's be very clear about that. That's number one. But even being charged with your crime and having to do your time, I do not believe that these people should have to be going through this type of, they shouldn't be enduring this type of behavior, right? And so I think this documentary will help color the picture really vividly, on why jails disproportionately police and incarcerate minorities at such a higher rate than others. And I really think this is something that we should look into and not turn a blind eye to. It's been running in select theaters and in small cities around the country, but it is available on HBO Max. And so if you have it, I think that you should, if you have a little time, take a gander at it. I have yet to see it, but I have been really, really curious, and these clips have certainly piqued my interest. And so I wanted to pass that information along to you, because it is true that we hardly ever hear a lot about what's going on behind jails. And so I just thought that this was really, 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 really an interesting documentary that we should take a look at. All right, just putting that in your ear. Are we ready for Champs and Chomps? All right, coming in at number one this week, champ number one is LeBron James. Clap it up, LeBron James. Listen, LeBron James will become the first player in NBA history to score 43,000 points as a player in the game. And I think that is fantastic. Now, look, listen, okay? I'm partial to LeBron James. LeBron James is an Akron guy, okay? I'm an Ohio girly, okay? So there's some kinship there, okay? I have been a fan of LeBron since day one. And so don't nobody get to talk bad about LeBron James to me, okay? But I'm really happy for him. And I know a lot of Michael Jordan's fans are going to say a whole lot about LeBron James. I get it. I understand. Let's be clear. I am a Jordan fan as well, okay? But I also think LeBron deserves the accolade. I mean, he done got his rings. Everybody was talking about he ain't no real king. He ain't got his ring. He got his rings. Well, he ain't played for too many teams. That's okay. Get it how you live. Get it however you can get it. He's done that. And now his son is playing on the same team he's playing on, and he done crossed 43,000 points. Man, y'all better clap it up for LeBron James, okay? Please do, please do, please do. Okay, coming in at number 2 this week on the champs list is Isaac Hayes Jr. So I don't know if you are familiar with this particular case, but the family of Isaac Hayes won a landmark court case against Donald Trump back in the court case came about in 2024 regarding the use of, hold on, I'm coming. Hold on. Like, y'all know that song? We know that song, right? Well, so what happened is the song, they were trying to use the song in a campaign video, social media post without prior approval. And Isaac Hayes III was like, baby, back on up. Hold up. And so they took this case to trial, and because they weren't really happy. Look, Isaac Hayes III makes no apologies about this administration. And so, I mean, the gall, right, of them trying to utilize this song without prior permission is ridiculous. And, of course, we know that this has happened in the past with different artists and such. But I think it is a bit tacky to be the president or the president's campaign committee, and they didn't vet to ensure that the utility of the song would be all right. But this also speaks to the importance of protecting your intellectual property, all right, and the copyrights and all of those things surrounding that you need to do that to the best of your ability. Now, while the specific details of the matter have not been disclosed, they say that the family is really, really satisfied by the outcome. I just think the fact that the Hayes family had enough gumption to push back, and to not allow for that to happen, I can really, really respect that. So congratulations out to them. Coming in at number 3 is Al Green from Texas. Or shall I say Representative Al Green from Texas, okay? Now listen, Brother Al Green is an elder statesman, okay? And he is very, 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 let's just say anti-Trump, okay? Now, if you did not happen to watch the State of the Union address, Representative Al Green, again, he's an elder statesman. He came in and, baby, he had a sign up. And that sign said, "Black people aren't apes," okay? And, baby, he held that sign up till he couldn't hold that sign up anymore. And I respect him for that, okay? Now, the Republicans got their shorts all in a bunch about this, okay? And they removed him. He wasn't even in the chamber for more than 5 minutes before people were pointing out that he was doing this, and they went over and tried to snatch it from him. But here's what's really interesting about that. They get so wound up about seeing, statements like that, which clearly we all know that the president did it, because Caroline Leavitt told us any particular posts that come over Truth Social are that of the president. So for you to get upset about something that Donald Trump has done, but then when you see it from somebody else that represents his rhetoric, you get all in your panties in a bunch. You understand? And I don't think that's okay, because nobody has yet to knock them red hats off their head. You understand? So for you to be upset with this man for making a sign that is verbatim what your guy has said, and you get all upset about that, I got to give a whole lot of credit to Representative Al Green, because the Republicans can dish it, but they can't take it. So shouts out to him and his boldness. I respect that greatly. Now, coming in on these chumps, all right? And here's the thing about these chumps. There just seems to be a recurring theme, and I try to find other people that are doing chump moves. But listen to me, I'm having a tough time, because coming in this number 1 is the wife of Trump, Melania. Baby, let me tell you what's going on with Melania. So She donated her inaugural gown to the Smithsonian National Museum of American History for First Ladies, okay? There's a collection of those dresses, and so she donated hers, okay? Now get a load of this. So when the post was on social media, it was on IG specifically, she was sharing it in a video, talking about the black and white dress. This is what the inaugural gown that she wore. I believe she wore it to the gala that night. And in the post, it says, this black and white masterpiece showcases America's pure spirit of originality, superior engineering, and boundless creativity. Seems fairly harmless, right? It's fairly common for people to post on social media, okay? But here's the irony. The caption was accompanied by Bad Bunny's song, DTMF. You got to be kidding me. Hold up. Everybody stay calm. So all of that hoopla round about the Super Bowl, everybody on that team was upset about Bad Bunny. This is the disgrace. It's not even in Spanish. We can't understand what's going on. How could you? We need an American and all of this foolishness. Okay? That these folks were talking about as it relates to Bad Bunny. Oh, girl is playing DTMF in the background. Baby, when you got to go search. You got to scroll, okay, and search for the song that you want to play. Girlfriend picked Bad Bunny. Now, who mad at who? Keep in mind that her husband has said this is a slap in the face because Bad Bunny was chosen. But your boo thing doing the Macarena to it, okay? Listen, old girl thinks it's a banger, and I just thought that there was irony there because for them to make such a deal out of this, for Melania herself to go ahead and choose that song on her post, I was just like, you can't even make this stuff up. And so her husband is, of course, back on the list this week again. And let me tell you, this is about the U.S. hockey team. Now, we talked about this earlier and how they came to the White House, of course, after they won. And, Donald Trump wants to come and show and tell. And let me give you a look around. And so he invited them there after their win. But y'all, let me tell you something. Now, when you think about going to the White House, right, you're like, I'm sure this is what these young men were thinking about, too. Y'all, tell me why after their win, he served them McDonald's. He served them boys McDonald's at their visit to the White House. Are you kidding me? So you mean to tell me I get on the global stage, I bring home the gold medal, the president invites me to the White House, and you serve me McDonald's? Child, please. What kind of low budget option is going on around here? I mean, them boys couldn't get a chef prepared meal on presidential China. They couldn't get none of that. Them boys was literally eating Big Macs and chicken wraps out the doggone paper. McDonald's? Child, please. Now, I thought this was, RFK and them talking about let's make America healthy again. And you serve the Olympic hockey men's team McDonald's? Child, please go away from me with this. That's y'all boy, though. Not mine. That's y'all boy. Marco Rubio, he's coming in at number 3 as a chump of the week. So let's talk about Marco Rubio, okay? Marco Rubio has been in politics for a very, very, very long time. If you followed it, he's Floridian, all of the things. And so listen, we know this political game. There's a lot of whataboutism. There's a lot of, people do this. This is par for the course. This is politics, But tell me if you think this is a chump move or not.
I will never until we keep a con man from taking over the party of Reagan and the conservative movement. He's a con man. He's a con man. He's a con man. I'll tell you why. Number one, look, people are angry and frustrated and scared about the future. Okay? People are working harder than they've ever worked in their lives, and they're running in place. And he swoops in and is taking advantage of that. He's taking advantage of that. He's telling people, I'm going to fight for the little guy. I'm fighting for the working class. Here's what he doesn't tell them. He has spent a career in business, 50 years, sticking it to the little guy. Sticking it to the little guy. When his companies went bankrupt, the first people that didn't get paid were the subcontractors, the plumbers and the pipe fitters and the people that laid bricks and all those people that worked for a living. They didn't get paid. He got his money. They didn't get theirs. He's going around telling people, oh, I'm fighting to keep other countries from taking our jobs. What is he talking about? You ever bought a Trump tie? If you buy a Trump tie, you're not just getting a tacky tie. You're buying a tie made in China or in Mexico. He portrays himself as the strongest guy on illegal immigration. That's fine, but Trump Tower was built by illegal immigrants from Poland, who he paid $4 an hour, 12 hours a day. Okay, a judge found that he was involved in a conspiracy to defraud these workers of their pay. Even now in Florida, he has a hotel or something down there. And 300 Americans have applied for jobs at that hotel. All of them got turned down. Instead, he brings workers from other countries. He acts like he's some sort of tough guy. He's not a tough guy. This is the first guy that asked for Secret Service protection. First guy. The other day, he told the protester, I wish I could punch you in the face. Donald Trump has never punched anyone in the face, okay?
That's not what I That's not what I wanted to use. This is what I wanted to use. That is your Secretary of State, the Marco Rubio. He is the Secretary of State for the Donald John Trump administration. This is Marco Rubio, who said this literally 10 years ago to the day. He said this February 26, 2016. You don't say, Marco. This is what he was saying about the President of the United States. Here's what I find really tough. And y'all, sometimes it leaves me speechless. What kind of capitulation is this? Okay? Listen, I know that we can all change our minds. I got it. I get it. I understand. I understand that maybe your position on certain policies has changed within 10 years. I get it. I got it. I understand. But which part of Donald Trump has changed so much that has caused for Marco Rubio to align with his position, policies, and politics this much, that this is what he was saying 10 years ago about Donald Trump? I don't understand it. And it's hard for me. It is really hard for me to absorb the, well, I've changed my mind narrative. Oh, well, he's not as bad as I thought narrative, or he's not the guy that he used to be narrative. Donald Trump has not changed. With everything that Marco Rubio just described about Donald Trump, he is that, then some, and he's gotten worse. So, as my final chump of the week, I thought that this was just chump behavior. And I just couldn't believe how this was off-putting to me. Extremely off-putting to me. So, listen, we are getting ready to go into the midterms coming up, okay? And then, of course, we will be also in 2 years, we are going to be up for another presidential election. So I just want you to be aware, ladies and gentlemen, okay? I want you to pay attention, okay? I don't want you to get caught up in smoke and mirrors. I don't want you to get caught up with the banana in the tailpipe activity, all right? I want us to be smart. I want us to be watchful. I want us to be mindful. Don't let people play in your face, baby girl. Don't let people play in your face, baby boy. They all do it, okay? And people hate the lesser of the two evils. Listen, sometimes you gotta take the lesser of the two evils, okay? So just be watchful, be prayerful, okay? Do a lot of research. I know that, again, a lot of stuff is convoluted. A lot of stuff can be over your head. I get it. It's a lot. But when it comes to this kind of stuff, we just have to do the work, okay? Listen, I want to thank you for coming to meet me on the best day of the week. This has been another episode of Hear My Take. I appreciate you for coming along for the ride. Please do me a favor, like, subscribe, hit that bell, follow me on all social media at @mytake_, okay? That'll be great. You can find little clips. You can find out some of the other things that I'm doing. I would greatly appreciate it, okay? Stay with me. Let's ride this thing till the wheels fall off, all right? If you are trying to birth a thing, use me as a testament to let you know that you can do it, even when it gets tough. You are tougher, all right? I want you to remain in heavy pursuit of the things that bring you joy. All right? That's important to me for you to do that, all right? I'll see you next Thursday at 8. Come Hear My Take. God bless you. I'll see you next week, fam. See ya.